everybody, my name is Kristin Wilkinson. Today I am here with Adam Dalton, the owner of 239 Inspection Services. Today we're going to talk a little bit about home inspections, what kind of inspections you can get, and a little bit about Adam's company. So Adam, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Cool, thanks, Kristin. I appreciate it. Yeah, so first of all, 239 Inspection Services has serviced Southwest Florida now since 1994. We've been around for a long time. Really what we try to do when we do a home inspection is offer a one-stop shop with all of the different types of inspection services that may be applicable for a home buyer. Each type of property that somebody may buy is very different. So if we look at an example of a 1979 condo, it is going to be massively different from a single family home that's a new build. And where a property is built is also a huge factor, because over the course of time, you know, there have been different materials and different building practices. So having somebody who has that local knowledge and can kind of help walk a home buyer through the home, the home inspection process is important. It's important to note the home inspector is not paid on a commission basis. So, we don't get any kind of closing commission or anything like that. We are solely aligned with the buyers, and they are our customers. We're looking out for them 100%. When it comes to the services that we offer, I think there's a couple that people need to be aware of. I would just suggest that you talk to a home inspector and figure out which one is most applicable for your property, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why as I go through them. So the first service that we offer is a general home inspection. It's a service that's pretty standardized countrywide. There's standard operating practices throughout the country. So what you see or have seen in other states is going to be very similar to what you'll see here. I will just say the way that the buildings are built here are very different from some places up north. We typically don't have basements. We typically don't have much insulation in walls. So things are just really built a little bit differently, and for very good reason. The second group of services that we offer are kind of ancillary services. And the first one that I want to go through is wood destroying organisms. So it's primarily, termites are the major one, but there's several other types of wood destroying fungi and other, insects that can wreak havoc and destroy the wood structure of a home. And I know a lot of people don't feel it's necessary to have that inspection. Number one, many mortgage companies will require it. So if a home buyer is looking to get financing through the government, via a VA or an FHA loan, there's a good chance that they're going to need a wood destroying organism inspection. Clean one at that says the house is free of wood destroying organisms. Yeah. The second ancillary service that I just want to talk about briefly is air quality testing for mold. When we test, the most common type of mold that we find in Florida is Penicillium aspergillus. It doesn't require a lot of moisture, and the most common area that we find it is in the air conditioning system and in the ductworks. So we have a pump-based system that we use to inhale the air around the air conditioning systems, and it draws in air from all around the house. We send that off to a lab, and it will determine the different type of molds that are in the property. And then we use a baseline outside to determine whether there's a problem inside the house or not. So,
Adam, go ahead. Quick question. So for the air quality test, we hear a lot about mold. Like, I want to make sure that there's no mold in the house. Can you go into how many different types of mold there are? I know from a contract perspective, there are only certain types of mold that are defective. So is it that we're searching for, you can find all different types of mold, but really the toxic mold is the one that you're mentioning?
Yeah, and there are a couple of different toxic molds. I mean, the first thing that I would say is if we test a home and it has no mold in it, we're going to retest it, because we live in Florida. If there's a house and the door opens, there's going to be some element of organic material in there. We test for over 30 different types of mold, and we're looking at a control sample, which we take outside, and we're going to compare that to what's going on inside. And you're right, Kristin, there's different contracts down here, which is important, an important reason why, home buyers should be working with a realtor to help guide them through that. And those different contracts define mold differently. The one mold that I know most people hear about most commonly is a black mold called Stachybotrys. That's one that I know is probably the more dangerous and the more newsworthy type of mold that's out there. When we do test for this, I will tell you, it's surprising when we get the results oftentimes, because everyone will say, I go into a house and I can smell it, or I can't smell it, or, hey, this looks really clean. And a lot of times when you don't think it's there, it's there. And the inverse happens all the time too. So I think it's a really important test to get if you have upper respiratory problems, young children, or elderly people, maybe somebody that has a lower immune system and maybe going through some health complications, just so you know what exactly is there before you move in. And now you have a baseline. You can keep doing it over time.
Okay. How about a radon test?
Yeah, so radon is another environmental test that we offer. Not many people think it's much of an issue, because the houses are built slab on grade here. I will tell buyers and realtors it is an issue. 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 are elevated or over the EPA level. It happens in high rises on the 17th floor. It happens in condo units. The only type of property that I wouldn't recommend you test is a house on stilts. It's amazing, because when we test it, it's high. I will say, when you compare it to some of the other areas of the country which are known to be super high, maybe the radon numbers don't come back as high numerically, but they're still elevated.
Now, what is normal? Normal 4.2?
Yeah, anything below 4 is normal, and it's measured in picocuries per liter. But there's a great resource out there. The Department of Health requires me and every other licensed company that tests radon to submit our data to them. So any buyer can go to the Florida Department of Health website just by Googling it and type in their zip code, and you'll see the percentage of houses that are elevated. It's always, somewhere between like 25 and 35%, anytime that I've been in there.
Yeah. Now, in your experience, just offhand, do you notice some of those homes that are poured concrete, do those generally have a higher radon elevation than, say, just a regular concrete block or wood frame home?
That's a great question. I think here's my thought on it. We have over time made our houses more energy efficient. We're building them with more concrete and less wood to prevent termites, and it's making them more airtight. So as things like radon, or heck, any chemicals that you spray in your house to clean, it becomes tougher for those toxins to get out of the house. So what I see is houses that have concrete on all sides, the floor, the sides, and the roof, tend to have higher levels of radon. So high rises or first floor condo units tend to have higher radon levels than second story. That's been my experience.
Okay. Now, I think it's important to note that radon is a naturally occurring gas. It's not like a poisonous substance that comes in from the outside. It comes up from the ground. Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's right. You'll hear people say it comes out of granite countertops too, which is true. I don't think that's a driving force of the elevated numbers, but it's super easy to fix, and it's cost effective to fix. And I see it happen every week. people getting it taken care of. So if it's something that is a concern, I mean, radon is a second leading cause of lung cancer. If that's something that's a concern to your buyers, then have them test for it. Better to find out now than when you're selling the house, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go second page here. We've got wind mitigation report. This is so important, not just when you're when you're under contract to buy a house, but when you're putting on a new roof.
Yep. So the wind mitigation report is something that came out after Hurricane Andrew. The insurance companies lost a lot of money, and what they essentially did was raise the rates of insurance. So the government here in Florida allowed them to do that because of the substantial losses that they had. But they wanted to reward people who are building their houses that will withstand tropical force winds. So the wind mitigation report is a probably 5-page report with pictures, and it has 7 different sections that just evaluate how well the property will withstand tropical force winds. It's a great idea to get this inspection if you have a single family home, but if you're in a condo, I would suggest reaching out to the homeowners association. There's a really good chance that the homeowners association has that document. So you're not buying something that's already out there and available for you.
Okay. Now, how about, so when you're doing a wind mitigation, what are you looking for? I know that with these different types of roofs, it's really the way that it's held on to the structure. Is that right?
Yeah, so the first thing that we're looking at is the roof. So what shape is the roof? Is it designed to deflect wind? Is it built like a pyramid, or in the building trade, they call that a hip-shaped roof? Or does it have a flat side, a gable end? If it has a gable end or a lot of gable end or unusual shapes that catch the wind, you may not get the same amount of credits that you would have gotten otherwise. The second thing that we look at is, when was the roof installed? Building codes and permits have changed over time. If it's a newer roof, there's a good chance you're going to get a significant credit on the hurricane portion of your insurance. We look at the straps that are holding the roof down to the trusses. We're looking at the nailing pattern, the length of the nails, and then we're looking at the opening protection. So do you have hurricane protection on your windows and doors, garage, etc.? So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Okay. And then the last one we have here is the 4-point inspection. And this, people come to me all the time when we're under contract and they'll ask me, should I get a 4-point inspection too? And I always defer to the inspector because it's really not my area of expertise. But my personal opinion is, if you have a house that's built in the 80s, probably you want to go ahead and do that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I would suggest to people to ask their insurance person. And first of all, work with an insurance person that's able to quote multiple different companies. So an independent person. And if they're able to quote 20 or so different carriers, I mean, the carriers will have different underwriting requirements. They'll also have different promotions and discounts. So, but by working with an independent insurance agent or a broker, they're gonna be able to best put you in, match you up with those companies. In general, I say if the house is over 25 years of age, most of those insurance companies are going to want to see that 4-point inspection. So if you have the 4-point inspection, that insurance broker can show it to more of those companies. So, my general rule of thumb is 25 years. Ask your insurance agent, because there's a good chance they work with, a company right now that doesn't want a 4-point. And if the insurance broker gets the 4-point, he can't unsee what he's already seen. He's going to have to disclose that he saw an issue.
Right. That's true. So, and when you're doing the 4-point, you're looking at the main components of the house. It's the plumbing, HVAC, roof, and electrical?
Correct. Yep. So it's a modified home inspection, right? But it's very different. So we're really just focusing on the things that have cost the insurance companies money over time. We have to put pictures in the report to document everything that we see. So literally under every sink, the water heater, the air conditioner, the tags of all of that stuff, 4 pictures of the roof, a picture from each side of the house. I think it's going to be really interesting as the properties here in Southwest Florida age and age to a point where most of them are over that 25-year age mark, what the underwriters start to do with this 4-point inspection report, because they've got a lot of information at their fingertips.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Matt, or Adam, your brother's Matt.
That's right. Yeah.
We've got a Matt and an Adam Dalton, and you guys look so much alike. Thank you so much for helping, you know, shed some light on this topic. And, you know, we appreciate your input. If somebody's looking for a home inspection or looking for more information, where can they find you?
Yeah. So our phone number is 239-300-2420 or 239inspect.com is our website. If any realtor or any buyer has a question, we're available anytime to work as their contact point. Even if we don't do, you know, the inspection, you know, we'll help people however we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for joining us, and I hope that you have a great day. Thanks, everybody.